Hello there and welcome to another edition of The Big Q. Today we're talking about businesses, and specifically I'll be joined by Mr. Patrick Kambale. He is the business development consultant at Total Hydraulics Limited and also part of other businesses that he will be telling us, including car transportation. So welcome to the show, Patrick.
Thank you.
I don't think I gave you the right brief of who you are. I'd like you to introduce yourself and tell us what you do.
Thank you, Fiona. And I appreciate that you host me. I am a business development consultant at Total Hydraulics Limited, a company I started. Total Hydraulics Limited produces hydraulic hoses, hose lines, and pneumatic hose lines for big machines, for factories. We supply hoses to individuals and companies alike, but mostly it's companies, construction companies, road construction. If you have cranes or big trucks, you're a customer. Inside that, we have the car transportation business. We operate between Dar es Salaam and Kigali mainly. We also do Mombasa and neighboring countries. The car transportation business is specifically on trucks, which is something we didn't have here in Kigali. Yes, we've seen car transporters come to Kigali, but they're mostly from other companies in other countries, from Kenya. But this is the first time we have one that is a company registered in Rwanda. That's basically what we do.
So the hydraulics bit, which is very interesting. Are they made in Rwanda, these particular hydraulics that you sell?
Oh yes, it's a lot of made in Rwanda and made by Rwandans. We have young people, young technicians that have been trained to produce a very high quality hose that is at the standard of Germany. We took it over from a German company that we work with as partners, and we did the training for these people to produce a hose that you could buy here in Rwanda and use in Germany.
Oh really? Okay, interesting. I know you have a background of the electronic engineering, so I want you to tell us how you moved from being an electronic engineer to actually thinking of starting up your own business, and especially here in Rwanda.
Thank you. That's always a question I get. It's tough to answer it with perfection because there are always many, many reasons. My own are that after gaining the experience I gained, working for a multinational company, working in different countries, I came to a point where I wasn't getting enough. I wanted to do more. But then, most importantly, there was the call of home. I remember last year at the Rwanda Day in Bonn, we got a call from our leader, His Excellency, the President. That was something, and I answered to that call. It was always going to be a tough one to switch from working for a company to doing it for yourself. I'm not going to go into a lot of talking around it. I don't say that I'm well informed, higher than anybody else, but I can tell it's not easy.
It's not easy. No, I can imagine, because I'm sure in between our talk you'll tell us about your journey through the entrepreneurs, because so many people give up along the way. You know, they prefer the comfortable zone they were in, yet you choose to leave the comfortable zone, you know, and go start off something else. But then COVID has affected so many businesses. How has it affected your business?
That's an interesting one, because much as it has affected many businesses, and when we say affected, it mostly goes with a negative connotation.
Yes.
In some parts, it has affected it positively.
Yes.
And we've seen it in many businesses. Ours has been hit really hard because the logistics within our neighboring countries were not easy. For example, coming into this, each of the countries had different measures, different approach towards protecting their citizens. The way Rwanda protected their citizens, the measures they put in place are not the same as what Uganda did or Kenya. And these are people we operate with, Congo. And most importantly, Tanzania had a different view altogether. And we had to be in between that. I mean, when you operate in Rwanda, you have to follow the regulations of the country within which you operate. But being a cross-border business, we have to have the two sides, and that wasn't easy. But to answer your question directly, how has it affected us? We've had to have crews in Tanzania, stationed in Tanzania permanently. And that comes with a big cost, that we don't normally consider. We've had to have people at the border that we don't normally do. I've had to travel to the border several times that I don't normally do. And this is the effect on that part. But on the positive side, it has raised awareness to our business as well, a lot of awareness, because people started turning to us since they couldn't travel to do the traditional way. So it has two sides.
So it's a win-win somehow.
Win-win, yes.
It is a win-win.
Yes.
The young people that you employ, tell us more about them. You know, most people tend to either love working with the young people, others tend to say, no, I prefer the old version, you know, the older generation that know what to do, they're serious at work. How do you perceive rather the young people that you work with?
The good thing is, in Rwanda here, if you're looking for young people, there's plenty. And if you want motivated people, there's plenty. And behind that, there's a government policy to push this, to encourage us, to help us, to support us in employing young people. And the young people that we got are amazing. I'm not putting down any older person. They bring their skills, but since what we're bringing was new, was not something you could find here, it was not possible to find somebody with the experience I needed. And therefore, I had to train people from scratch. Not personally, I had to bring in trainers, but luckily they were ready for it. I mean, these are people who have been educated in Rwanda, gone to university in Rwanda, and are ready and hungry to work and to learn, most importantly. Yes.
In car transportation, what would you say are the common mistakes that people make? Because some people will tell you I sent a car, or I can't get a car from Germany, it's very expensive, but then again, the spare parts are hard to get. You know this business better than me. What would you say are the common mistakes that people make in your business?
Trying to do it yourself. But I can understand why they try to do it themselves. It's because usually there is no focal point, no single place that you can go and find everything. You come to us. We take your idea, whatever it is that you have, and we turn it into reality. How? What are the problems during the whole process? If you walk to an entrepreneur like myself, somebody who is supplying ABCD, that has half of what you need, you have to do the other half yourself. But we put in a package whereby we will transport your vehicle. From the moment you have a conception of what you want, we will deal with it until we deliver it to you. All those other processes in Europe where you get it from, like you said, you gave an example of Germany, it's easy to get it. It's easy to have it on a ship. This is already organized. When it gets to Tanzania or Mombasa, then you have a problem. How do you handle that process from Tanzania or from Mombasa to Kigali? That's where we come in. And this is our niche. We have people stationed in Dar es Salaam. We have people stationed in Mombasa who will handle this whole process for you and on your behalf. Then we load the vehicles on trucks
that belong to you.
That belong to us. They will not touch down. The biggest problem is that you worry that your vehicle might have a problem on the way. It might crash, it might be hit, which happens.
Absolutely.
I mean, just yesterday it was on the news showing the problems that happen with the vehicles that have been driven. But what we do then in that case is we take over that process. We give you fully comprehensive insurance. Here in Rwanda, you call it omonium. That your vehicle will be handled by us 100%, nothing will happen to it. And if it does, we are covered by a very good insurance policy here in Rwanda.
Wow, that's interesting. What about the middlemen? Because middlemen are always found in such businesses, you know. How do you deal with them?
There's lots of them. There's a big cake for a lot of us. We also pay middlemen. Which middlemen? Usually the middleman would come and tell you stories of things that don't exist because you can't touch them, you can't feel them. But now they can tell you about us. You come to our office, you see where we do our business. You see testimonials from those who we have already supported. And even if it's brought by a middleman, it's still okay because you can pay the middleman to do that work. Yes, they're useful because some of them have a lot of experience here. We cannot discount that.
Absolutely.
We're not coming down here to destroy. We're coming to add on to what's already there. We work with car dealers who have this problem that I've just been explaining. And we take over the whole transport for them. They do what they do best. They find customers. They find cars. We do the transport.
We do the transport, which everyone can eat. I mean, it's a big cake.
Yes,
like
absolutely.
What are the challenges then have you faced since coming back home? You know, because some of our viewers who are watching us and probably did not heed to the call that you heed to. What are the challenges that you faced coming back home that you feel, you know, should not either discourage people or can also encourage them to actually come back?
The challenge that I've faced, the biggest, is that no one tells you the truth before you come here. It's much better than you think. And I'm not just bragging. It is much better than you think. Once you lived in other countries, you start to appreciate what Rwanda is offering.
Absolutely.
There is something else. Rwanda is developing. When you try to do what we do in Europe, and I have tried, it is a hassle. And to try and win one customer that's already satisfied by 100 other companies is difficult. In Rwanda, you can still identify something that is virgin. If you're going to supply something that is useful to people, this is your place. If you're going to supply something that people will use, they will pay their money and say thank you. But you asked me about challenge. Sorry, I waffled off. The biggest challenge is that you will not know the truth until you get here. It's very difficult to get this information remotely. You have to come here. You have to come and investigate. You have to come and try it out. But I'm telling you, you won't regret it.
That's the only challenge?
It's not the only challenge. I hope we have a lot of time, but I'm trying to cut it short. We have other challenges. There are systems that are still in the maturity phase. While I'm here, it has grown exponentially. That is the online processes of many things, banking. And it wasn't that the systems were not in place. The users didn't want to do it. The people did not want to use mobile money for everything. They did not want to use the online banking apps for everything. They did not want to use email and phone calls. They wanted to come and visit you. But that has changed exponentially, partly because of the restrictions of COVID-19. I could go on with other challenges, but
no. We take a short break. Of course, when we come back, we still talk about the way forward. But most importantly, what his business is doing, but most in terms of Made in Rwanda to promote not only the country, but also the young people that he keeps working with. So do keep it the big key. Welcome back and thank you very much for keeping it the big key. Of course, I'm still talking to Mr. Patrick Kambale. He is the business development consultant and also at Total Hydraulics Limited, but also part of the car transport business. Before we went to a short break, he talked about the challenges, but the most important thing that you mentioned is that, you know, when you're outside, you do not know the good things, you know, that are here. So whoever is listening, I'm sure that is another point of view to build on, you know, and provide the information that is rightly needed to the people that need it outside there. What motivates you, Patrick?
What motivates me? It's always the big one. I love work. I must say I'm a workaholic, but I like building things, anything. And from a very young age, I always had cuts and bruises on my fingers trying to open things that I couldn't when I was tiny. But what motivates me is seeing things grow. To plant a seed and at the end of 3 months harvest corn. You know, this motivates me. It's the same in business. It's tough and there's no one to call. Your phone will never switch off. I mean, right now, just before I came here, we're dealing with an issue somewhere and I had to answer to that call. It doesn't matter if it's midnight, my phone is on. It doesn't matter if it's a weekend. When the CEO of the business, when the manager of a particular section, when the supervisor of a particular section, when the factory closes, when the bus driver or the truck driver parks his vehicle and goes to sleep, I am on. Because they won't call the CEO, they won't call the manager, they will call me. That's the thing. When there's an issue to solve, you're always on. But I am motivated by it. And that's the only way to survive. You have to be motivated. I don't know if I really answered your question, but to summarize, I like to see things grow. That motivates me, to see it go from A to B. And that's why I'm really in Rwanda. It is my home. I love this place, but I love to see it grow. From where I left it last year, I see it growing farther and farther and farther. I love that.
But one
And
would
it
wonder
motivates me.
then, why now? Why didn't you come 2 years back? Why did you choose to come back home now?
I was still in the illusion of Europe. The illusion of grandeur in Europe. The illusion of plenty in Europe. The illusion of the salary in Europe. Many friends of mine, myself included, fell for that for many years. And I'm telling you, we earned a lot of money. I don't want to say a sum here, that would be like bragging, but it's ridiculous amounts of money. We got pampered. I mean, I flew business class to China, to the US, to South Africa, back in Rwanda, all over the place. Paid for by the company, and a big salary, driving brand new cars. But all that is an illusion, in a way, because the growth is here. This is where the growth is. And I'm telling you, that's why it has to be now. The reason it wasn't yesterday is because I was still in that illusion. But that growth in Europe ended some time back. This is the place.
To someone who's watching us right now and they're actually applying for a green card to go to the US, you know, everyone feels the other side of the world is better than the African continent that we live in. What would you tell them?
I can't stop you. Go ahead and get the green card. But if your friend tells you the truth, listen. You can talk to me. I will tell you the truth. I've told many young people, the ones I work with, the ones I've met, my family, my friends, they're those I've managed to dissuade from taking the plunge, which I think it is. But I have to clarify. If you're going to leave Rwanda to another country, I say one thing from Kinyarwanda, akanyoni katagurutse ntikamenye iyo bweze. Yeah? If you don't leave Rwanda and go to another country, you might never find out the truth. You might never find yourself. If that's your way, if that's how you're going to find your truth and achieve your goals, go ahead.
Absolutely, yeah.
But you have to understand the challenges that you will face when you go there. Please speak to people and you can learn it. I can be contacted on Twitter. I'm freely available to reply to any questions. Of course, naturally for the business, I will answer those questions instantly. The other questions I might take long, but I'll always get to it. Anybody who writes to me, messages me on Twitter, I always respond to them. Whether it takes a day or a week, I will respond in the end. To answer your question, if you're going to go there, make sure you understand your mission. It's not just going because people go there, because you think the grass is greener. It is greener in some places there. Make sure you're going to the right place. And make sure you go with the right mindset.
Mindset, absolutely.
And hopefully, you come back.
And hopefully come back, of course, and
Yes.
serve the nation.
Yes.
Let's talk about then your entrepreneurial journey. I think as an entrepreneur, many people have issues when it comes to funding. You know, because you'll come back home and say, you know, I did this. Maybe you were lucky to get the funds. Now, there are those who are saying, I do not have the funds, yet I want to start something. Where can they go? How can they look about it? And how can they actually leave their comfort zone and actually work towards their goal, just like you did?
Thank you for the question. This is the $1 million question. Where does the money come from?
Yeah.
Anybody will be surprised to find that the $1 billion businesses started with very little. I know businessmen here in Rwanda that I've become acquainted to. When they tell you their stories, selling matchboxes as their first money, and never ever having started with big capital, you're humbled. It doesn't take big capital to make a big business. Yes, it needs big capital in the end, but it doesn't start with big capital. You have to start somewhere. But we come back to the question that you asked earlier, and I answered that you have the illusion of grandeur in those places where you are in your job, your salary. It's a catch-22. You need to leave the salaried job in order to make it in business. But how do you survive? When you start it as a young person, if you're very lucky and you started young, you don't have many challenges as such because you can go back to your mom's house and you can still be fed. But once you're the man in your house, you're the lady in your house, you're the one who provides, you can't just leave your job. So where does the capital come from? It comes from within you. It comes from your friends. It comes from other processes around you that already exist. You just need to tap into it. And I don't want to be condescending to say that if you don't have capital, it's your fault. Not really. But I'm going in that direction. You could start something small as a stepping stone to something bigger. If you want to start Rwanda, start with something smaller. And one day you'll have Rwanda.
Absolutely.
You know, Rwanda didn't start the day they bought the aeroplanes. It started in the minds of the Rwandans who are focused into having Rwanda one day. And they built A, B, C, D, built Kigali, and at this point have an international airline.
What's the way forward then for you, for years to come, to where you want to be? How, when you look at your dream, how big is your dream, Patrick?
I dream very big. I don't think I have enough years in my life to achieve all my dreams, but at least I've achieved the biggest dream I always had, was to do something in my country. This is something that I've dreamt about. I started building from before I left Rwanda. When I was at KIST as a first-year student, we were building things. We did little things, and we actually were part of the building process in Rwanda as pioneers of KIST. But I've achieved that of coming home and employing people in my country and giving them my vision to facilitate their vision. At the end of the day, it's not mine, it's ours. We're all in this together. Your vision, my vision, his vision, and everyone's vision coming together to build. And that for me is a dream come true.
Most business people that I've met or talked to, they keep telling me that your network is your net worth. Is that true?
100%. It's all networking. And I'm glad you asked that question. What is different with business here that thrives compared to the business that doesn't thrive? It's the networks they have. And don't think it's only in Rwanda, worldwide. BMW that I worked for many years does not exist as BMW on its own. It has the suppliers, it has the consultants, it has many firms they work with. MTN, for example, does not work on its own. It works with little other businesses or even bigger businesses. I mean, when I have my banker, he is my partner, he is my network. So partnership at all levels is key to success in business. Partnership at all levels, whether it is individuals you are networking with or partnering companies. For example, we're doing partnership here.
Absolutely.
You have your show, which is your business, and I have my business that I'm talking about. And that's a partnership. I would never come to this audience without you. And probably the vehicle that brought here has a part that came from my business.
Yeah, that's true. So where do we find you in Kigali? Where do we find you? Where can we buy our Made in Rwanda hydraulics?
Before you find me in Kigali, find me online. Go on Twitter, go on YouTube, go on Instagram. You'll find our products. You go to Car Transporter Dar, and you have a Twitter handle of Car Transporter Dar. Every information you need is from there. You can find it. Anything you want to know about, if you want to know about transportation, if you want to know about, even about taxes for your vehicle. Yes, the information is available on the Rwanda Revenue Authority website, but we facilitate that. We put it down to the Reader's Digest, that you can get exactly what you want without having to go through navigating hundreds of websites or whatever else. You can go to our website. You know, and of course, how to find us. We are based in Kichukiro, and our address is available on the online website.
So as we sum up, there are people who are watching us. What would be a word of motivation to them, to the young entrepreneurs, to the people who are still abroad, to the people who are dreaming of, doing what you're doing today? What would you tell them?
I'm flattered that you asked me to motivate young people because I consider myself young. Absolutely. And I'm not going to brag into thinking that I've made it. No, I haven't. Although I've achieved my dream, I still have a big, big way to go, a long way to go. And my motivation to them is go for it. Network. We're available to talk to you. I'm more than happy to share. Really, we're open. Come to us. Whatever idea you have, however small, however big, talk to people. I mean, you might think that you've got the best idea in the world, but as long as it stays stuck on the floor, never leaving the ground zero, it's nothing. It will never amount to anything. Talk to people. Talk to other business people. That is my motivation today.
Well, thank you very much, Patrick, for being part of us today.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, my name is Fiona Mbabazi, and as usual, do keep it the big Q, and of course, do keep it tuned to RTV every day.